Hello. Ayan, good evening po sa lahat. Welcome po sa ating session for numerical reasoning tungkol po sa ating mock test discussion sa ibinigay po sa inyong mock test noong nakaraang araw, nakaraang mga linggo. So good evening once again to everyone here tonight who is with us and having our review for our numerical reasoning for the mock test discussion, particularly in the civil service examination. So if you are reviewing for the LET, okay rin lang naman po because the coverage is very, very similar when it comes to the general education aspect sa may LET po natin. Paki-share lang po ng ating location dito sa ating comment section para naman po alam natin kung saan po abot ng Gurong Pinoy yung ating review for tonight. Please prepare po your scratch papers, and then also if you have your notebooks and whatnot for tonight's review. Gentle reminder lang po, wag po tayong gumamit ng calculators at sanayin natin yung selves natin in a situation as if we're actually taking the test na. Ayan po. I'll just give a few more minutes for everyone to get settled. Ayan. Sige, to begin for tonight's discussion, let us have a very short prayer lang for your a prayer for all of our exam takers. Let us be reminded that we are before the most holy presence of God. Lord, pour out your spirit of wisdom on these exam takers undergoing the examinations. Help them to remain calm, to attend carefully to the questions asked, to think clearly, to remember accurately, and to express themselves well. Grant that they may reflect the best work that they have done and the best of the teaching they have received. Accept their best efforts in these examinations and in the great test of life on earth. May your love be upon them, O Lord, as they place all their trust in you. We ask this through Jesus Christ, His Son, and our Lord. Amen. Ayan. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to our mock test review for the numerical reasoning, particularly in the civil service examination na upcoming. Right? So for tonight po, we are usually scheduled for 2 hours, so 7 to 9 p.m. However, yung 40 items po natin, in case hindi natin siya matapos within the time limit, we will be extending beyond 9 p.m. So a word of warning lang po, baka mag-extend tayo beyond 9 p.m. para po matapos talaga natin yung ating review topics at para we can be assured na medyo fully prepared tayo for our upcoming civil service examination. So get ready po and be a little bit more tawag dito, sana medyo nasa setup na tayo na ready tayo for the examination and we set aside things that are no longer necessary. We try to put ourselves in the mindset of taking the examination. You read the instructions very carefully and you also, tawag dito, make sure na lahat ng kailangan ninyo ay nandiyan na with you. So you would bring your pencils with you and then of course, if possible, you would be seated right now in a position na parang kukuha ng exam para medyo yung setup natin at saka yung mindset natin is really geared toward the examinations. Paki-share po ng ating link sa ating mga friends na kukuha rin po ng ating upcoming examinations at pakitag na rin lang po sila if you are using our Facebook page. Ayan. So without further ado, let us take a look at our examination items. So for those who are members of our group already, you would have been given an advanced copy of our items for our mock test. So ito po yung instructions natin. Solve the following problems and choose the number corresponding to the correct answer. If there is no answer, choose 5. I'd like you to really look up your choices or your directions on what you're supposed to do. Alam niyo po kasi, if hindi po natin siya binabasa, baka may ma-miss out tayo ng mga specific items. Like for example, this one, if there is no answer, you're supposed to choose 5 pala. So kung yung answer, no matter how much you solve, wala talaga sa choices, you are to choose 5. But sometimes, iba po yung instructions. Sometimes yung instructions, they are not asking you to choose 5. Kung wala kayong option na, if there's no answer, choose this letter. Kung wala pong ganon, what you have to do is choose the closest answer to the one that you solved. Pero kung binigyan po kayo ng option like this na if there's no answer, choose this particular item, then yun po yung gagawin natin. Okay? So I want you to read the directions carefully para alam natin how to respond if yung nakuha nating sagot does not appear in the actual choices that is given to us. Right? So ayan, iba-iba po kasing response natin depende sa ating instructions. Right, so let's take a look at our first item for the mock test natin for numerical reasoning. Find the sum of 275 plus 399 plus 325 plus 461. Okay, so quite a lot of you already are sharing your answers, but I'd like you also to take a look at your mindset in trying to solve certain items. Hindi lang naman po yan sa agad-agad nag-solve tayo. Sometimes we also look for ways to expedite certain processes like, how could I solve this faster? Or how could I approach this in a more efficient way para nagsasave ako ng time, ng effort? Ayun po. So we should also consider that. So in this case, if you take another look at this one, find the sum of these. You have 4 items here. So, ayan, marami pong sumasagot ng 2. Sige. So what I'd like you to take a closer look at is that this one, wait, let me look at different color siguro. This one and this one, if you look at them, parang they could be paired together. And if you pair them together, this would give you an answer na 275 and 325 should give you an answer na 600, right? And then this one, yung dalawang to, you could pair them together as well. Kasi yung isa nag-end sa 9 and then yung isa nag-end sa 1. So with this, you could sort of expedite the way that you are solving your problem. This would have been, tawag dito, I think this would have been 860. Ayan, so this would have driven you closer or faster into the desired solution, which is 1,460. Ayan, so the correct answer here po is 2. So just to show you lang as well how I usually do addition if hindi po ganito. When I do addition po, what I do usually is I take a look at the items like 5 and then 9. Ayan, I will make a mark kasi naglampas na siya sa may 10. So what's left is 4 plus 5 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So that's 0. So this is 2 plus 7, 9 plus 9, 18. So that's 8. Mark tayo dito. 8 plus 2 is 0. Mark tayo dito. And then 6. I have 2 marks. And then 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 3 is 0. And then 4, may isang mark tayo. So that's how I usually do addition because I find that it's a little bit faster than your common way of just keeping on adding items. So if it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, whatever works for you na nakakakuha kayo ng correct answer, that's fine. So it's good to see that most of us are getting the same correct answer. Now let us try item number 2. Evaluate this equation here. And of course, this would involve your PEMDAS. Please share your answer po dito sa ating comment section so we could see how far along we are in trying to solve. And I'd also like to get a gauge ano po, and how fast you are solving and how many of you are getting the correct answer so that we would know if we have a lot of, or if we have good comprehension already and analysis skills, right? So I'm seeing answers like 1 and 3 from our viewers here tonight. Right. Can we have more answers, please? Para naman po makita natin how far, kung ilan na yung nakakasagot. Ayan. So I'm seeing some familiar names. So it's nice to see na sa tagal-tagal ng review natin ay may mga may mga repeat reviewers tayo dito, right? Yes. So most of you are answering item 1. So let us take a closer look first at PEMDAS. Recall po natin yung main idea ng PEMDAS is that when you try to solve your PEMDAS po, keep in mind that, let's make it a little bit wider para naman mas ma-appreciate nyo siya. When we solve PEMDAS po, you know that P is parenthesis, E is your exponent, M is multiplication, D is division, A is addition, and S is subtraction. But you always have to keep in mind that your MD are interchangeable, whichever comes first. Same as your AS are also interchangeable, but doesn't really matter much. Your MD is interchangeable. It's not always nauuna si multiplication kay division. It's not like that. So sometimes nauuna si division, depende kung sino yung nag-unang nag-appear from left to right. So MD is interchangeable. Diyan po yung common misconception natin sa PEMDAS. So with this one, we would follow the PEMDAS, the innermost items. Yun po yung una nating sasagutan. So this would be a 10 here. And then from left to right, kasi wala na tayong parenthesis, right? So you might want to, sandali lang po, let us get rid of this first. Eto. So from left to right, we have 23 minus 10 plus 6 divided by 3 times 2. Careful po tayo dito. Division appeared first before multiplication. So this should give us 2. And then times 2, this should give us 4. So now let us continue on with the process. So 23 minus 10 is 13 plus 4. This should give us 17, this one. So item number 1 po, yung sagot. If you did the last part wrong, yung dito po, if you did multiplication before division, you would have gotten a different answer. I think you would have gotten 23. So please be very careful with this one. I think most of you already got it correctly, so we could move on to the next item. Ano po? So I believe quite a lot of us talaga no, yung nakasagot na ng items natin doon sa my mock test, which enabled you really to have a lot of time in this one. I wonder though, did you time yourself taking the examination? Because that would be a really good idea to gauge if kaya niya siyang sagutan within the time limit. Ayan. So yun po kasi yung mathematics na item, yung numerical reasoning na items. You really have, aside from pacing yourself, you also have to analyze sometimes what you're supposed to do in a certain situation. May mga problems na sometimes alam natin kung paano isolve, but we feel that it's a little bit long kung isolve natin. So you also have to prioritize and balance sometimes. If you think something will take a little too long for you to solve, it might be a good idea to skip it. And then focus muna kayo sa medyo mabibilis para na-ensure po natin na mas maraming items yung nako-cover natin. So it might be better if you cover more items rather than focusing on a single item na alam niyong kaya niyong sagutin ng tama, but it takes too long to answer. So you really have to know how to pace yourself. Ano po? Pag feeling nyo yung problem will take too long, consider skipping. Balikan nyo na lang po later para malay nyo, marami pa kayong masasagutan. Kasi yung point system natin, pare-pareho lang naman eh. All the items have equal weight. So, tingnan po natin, balansehin po natin. Particular po yan sa numerical reasoning, no? Ayan po kasi yung sometimes mga time-consuming items. So, I am seeing quite different answers here. We have 4, and then we also have 1. Okay. Ayan. So, 1 and 4 yung common. Meron din tayong 2. Okay. Sige. So, I think quite a lot of you have already given your answer. So, let's consider. What's the remainder when 234,678 is divided by 9? Ayan. So, what we do here is to recall your divisibility rules. So, I hope you could still remember your divisibility rules. So, yung 9 kasi, malalaman mo that it's divisible by 9 if you add all the digits and then the number that you get is divisible by 9. So, that's what you have to do. What I do is I pair, kung alin dyan yung mga 9, yung nakakakuha ka ng 9, I just cancel them out. Like, for example, ito, 2, 3, and 4. So, 2 plus 3 is 5. This is 5 plus 4 is 9. So ayan, 9 na siya. I will not consider this anymore. That's divisible by 9. How about this one? 6 plus 7, this is 13. 13. So 13, tapos meron pa tayo ditong 8. Ayan. So what would that give you? That should give you, tawag dito, this should give you 13 plus 8, 21. So, ano yung mga divisible sa 9 dyan? So, 21, that would be 18, right? So, sobra po siya ng 3 items. So, 3 points po yung sobra natin. Let's do it again. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Ayan. So, let us count off the items that are divisible by 9. Pag naka-form po kayo ng 9, then you don't consider that anymore. So, 2, 3, and 4, this is 9. So, ox na tayo dyan. 6 and 7, that's 13. So, bawasan na natin ng 9, magiging 4. And then 8 and 4, that's 12. Bawasan na natin ng 9, it becomes 3. Ito po yung remainder natin. So, that would be another alternative to that one. It means that our remainder here is this one. So, please recall po your divisibility rules. Kasi if you try to divide that by 9, it might take you longer. Ano po yung mga divisibility rules natin? Divisible by 1, everything. Divisible by 2 if even, or yung last digit natin ay divisible by 2. Ano pa yung mga pairs na yan? Let me list it down lang ha para medyo mas mabilis tayo sa recall. So 1, tapos na yung 1. Yung 2, divisibility rule is yung last digit, yung nag-iisang digit sa dulo is divisible by 2. Yung 4, last 2 digits is divisible by 4. Yung 8, last 3 digits is divisible by 8. Ayan siya. Okay, ano pa yung mga madaling maalala? Yung divisible by 10, if it ends in 0. Divisible by 5, if it ends in 5 or 0. Ano pa yung mga madaling maalala? Ito, 3. It's divisible by 3 if you add all the items, divisible siya by 3. Similar siya kay 9. It's divisible kay 9 if add all the items, divisible siya by 9. Ano naman yung 6? 6 is 2 times 3. So something is divisible by 3 if it's divisible by 2 as well as 3. And then yung 7, marami pong rules si 7. So depende na lang po kung which rule kayo mas comfortable. Ako personally, to be honest, kapag 7, nagdi-divide na lang ako kasi parang I find it difficult to try to remember yung rule nito. So you could use any of these. This tip kasi, pwede nyo rin naman siyang manually divide, but this method helps you do it faster. Ano po? Kasi pag marami kayong sinasagutan, it's not just about getting the correct answer, it's also about doing it the fastest way. So you could tackle more items. So ayan po, marami po nagsasuggest dito na unahin yung mga madadaling items para mas maraming time. Pero sometimes kinakapos pa rin po tayo. So please do try to do that technique pa rin during the actual examination. What really helps you if you continue on practicing. Kasi the more you practice, dun po tayo mas bumibilis. Kasi nahahasa yung brain natin to think faster and for solutions to come up easier. Yun po yung result nun. So, we really have to participate in your examinations and in your reviews kasi it helps you become faster. And another thing, don't leave anything blank po. While some of you are still sharing your answers, please do type your answers po dito sa comment section. Kapag masyado na pong, as you would know, may mga signal din naman po dyan. I suggest you bring your watches with you para you could gauge the time. If you feel that you're like 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes from the time limit, it might be a good idea for you to start shading na lang any letter dun sa mga blanks niyo just to make sure na nasagutan niyo po siyang lahat. Mas mabuti na rin po na guess kayo kaysa sa leaving it blank. Right? So let's take a look at item number 4. Ayan. So item number 4 here, we are looking for an electric range uses 12,200 watts per hour and is run for an average of 60 hours a year. So 12,200 watts per hour and then it's run for 60 hours a year. So how many kilowatt hours is this? So what we need to do is we have to multiply. Ano po? 12,200 watts per hour tapos 60 hours a year. So our result here should be that's 12,200 times 60 hours a year. So what I would do is I would just cross out the zeros. Ayan, tatlo na yan sila. And then multiply manually. So that's 12, carry 1, another 12 plus 1, 13, carry 1, and then that's 72,000. You might notice na walang ganyang answer dyan, right? However, yung unit po kasi is kilowatt hours. Specific highlight on the word kilo. Ano po yung ibig sabihin ng kilo? Kasi yung given natin dito is watts eh. Tapos yung answer natin dito is kilowatts. Kilo is in thousands, right? So naka-thousands po yung unit natin. So we have to remove the thousands. And your answer here is 732 or item number 3. Ayan. Kilo po kasi siya. Okay po. So, paki-review po ng ating solving kasi parang may mga sumagot po kasi ng 4. Ayan. Tapos meron din po nag-5. I believe yung mga 5, nag-5, hindi po na-consider yung kilo. Ayan po. Tapos yung mga sumagot ng 4, maybe may extra 0 lang po tayo kanina. So, please take a good consideration for this item po. You might want to take a screen cap if you want to remember this better later. Ayan. So, let's proceed na po sa ating next item. By the way, if you feel that we're a little bit too fast, please let me know. Okay? So, this is our item number 5. What is 345,679.976 rounded off to the nearest hundreds? Please type your answers here in the comment section so that we could easily gauge kung ilan po sa inyo yung nakaka-answer na. And if you're getting the correct answer also. Ayan. What I did po kasi before nung nag-answer po ako ng civil service examination, and I feel like hindi ako mabilis mag-answer ng particular item. Or like for example, kung math, kung feel ko medyo mabagal ako, if one item I feel is taking a little bit too long, I would skip that item. But I would already mark yung guess ko na baka C yung sagot, baka number 3 yung sagot. So I would mark number 3 but I will not shade it fully. Maglalagay lang ako ng small mark dyan. And then I'll also mark yung number before para alam ko kung aling items pa yung kailangan kong balikan. So pagdating sa dulo, when I finish, I could easily go back to the item na nakita kong hindi ko pa siya natapos or hindi ko talaga na-answeran fully. So I could review that item. But if dumating ako sa point na I don't have time talaga to really read and answer the item properly, at least pagbalik ko sa item, may mark na yung best guess ko. So I don't have to read the item again, right? So may mark na yung best guess ko and then I could just mark it there. Parang isolid ko na lang yung initial mark na ginawa ko. So you could do that as well. Para hindi po siya full guessing. Yung kahit nagge-guess ka ng item, medyo educated guess siya of some sort. Kasi parang tiningnan mo rin naman yung items if which one is most likely to be very close to the one that is expected. Ayan, so we're taking a look at your answers here for item number 5. And I'm seeing answers like, so we're having 3 and 4 for item number 5 po. Okay. So when you say nearest hundreds, ano po yung ibig sabihin nun? When you're trying to answer nearest hundreds. Okay. Round off to the nearest hundreds. 345,000. Ano po ba yung nearest hundreds? So let's recall our places, no? So recall po muna natin. This is ones. This is tens. This is hundreds. thousands, 10,000s, and then 100,000. Ayan po siya. Pero sa right, iba po yung system natin. So here po sa right, wala po tayong ones. So it's start tayo sa tens. But with the TH, this is tenths. Next is your hundreds with the THS. And then this one will be your thousands with the THS. And so on. Yun po yung system natin. So kung wala pong TH, doon tayo sa left. Kung may TH, doon tayo sa right. So wala po tayong TH, doon tayo sa left. And hundreds, so hundreds place natin is this one. So what we do is we take a look at the item to the right, di ba? Ito po yung titingnan natin. If it's, compare natin siya to 5. If it's 5 or greater, plus 1 tayo dito. If not, then it remains as 6. So our correct answer here is going to be 345,700, which is item 3. So congratulations po sa mga nag-answer ng item 3. Yung answer po na 4, that is rounding off to the nearest thousands po. Now, follow-up question. This is hundreds. What would be your answer if I ask? What if ito po yung tanong? What would be your answer to this item? Can you type your answers po? Segue na rin lang naman po ng review since we're talking about decimals. Para lang po ma-emphasize natin yung difference. What would be your answer if I ask hundreds? With a TH. Before po tayo mag-proceed sa number 6. What would be this number rounded off to the nearest hundreds? Can you please, ayan. So one of our Facebook users is saying 0.980. Ayan. So that's it po. 0.98 would be the best. Remove na lang natin yung 0. So indeed, it would have been 3, 4, 5. Sandali lang po. May 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 9, 8. That would be your nearest hundreds. Ayan. So, additional review lang po. Kasi this is a common error. You might forget na wala po tayong ones, wala pong ganon. So after ng decimal, direct tayo sa my tenths. So just to remind you para hindi nyo makalimutan when the actual test happens. Ayan, so we're doing great so far. Sige, let's try po yung ating item number 6. I think may mga nakashare na rin ng answers kanina. Requesting others po to type your answer here for item number 6. Ayan. So which of the following numbers is divisible by 6? So recall po natin yung divisibility rules. I've noticed po that even in a lot of mock reviews and the like, marami po yung mga divisibility items. Ano po? Or common po siya. So it might be good for you to recall the rules and remember the rules po para mas mabilis tayo dyan. Kasi nga po, di ba, kinakapos tayo sa oras. So the faster we are, the more tricks we know, the better we become, and we will have more time for other items. Ayan po. So for this one, okay, we are seeing answers like 1 and 2 from our Facebook users. Ayan. Wala akong nakikitang YouTube users dito sa comments. Minsan kasi may delay yung YouTube natin sa mga comments na lumabas. Ayan. So 1, 2, and also some 3. Okay. Recall the divisibility rule of 6. For 6, we use the divisibility rule for both 2 and 3. So, for 6, dapat gamitin natin yung divisibility rules ng 2 tsaka 3. So, yung divisibility rule po ng 2, dapat even siya or it ends with a number that is divisible by 2. Which means, this one is already out because it ends with a 9. So, yung 2, 3, 4, ayan, it ends with an even number. So, okay pa tayo dyan. Now, let us consider yung divisibility rule natin for 3. So, kung i-check natin yung divisibility rule ng 2, X na si number 1. Divisibility rule ng 3 is that when you add them up, dapat the sum is divisible by 3 also. So, 2 and 4, this is 6, divisible by 3. 7, ang tawag dito, 7 and 8, this is 15. Also divisible by 3. So, this is your item. Divisible siya by 3. Confirm talaga natin. Tingnan natin yung ibang items. This one is 3 already. And then this one is 9 divisible by 3. So may sobra tayong 2. This one is 3 already. These 2 is 9 divisible by 3. Tapos meron tayong 5. So minus 3, may sobra din tayong 2 dito. So hindi talaga sila divisible. The correct answer would be 2. So if you're looking at a number like 6, kung ano po yung factors ni 6, yung smaller factors ni 6, yun po yung titingnan natin, which is 2 and 3. Ayan. Now let's take a look at item number 7. This is still divisibility rule po, but a little bit different approach. Which of the following statements is true? This is the kind of item where sometimes kahit hindi mo naiintindihan yung question, the phrasing and the placement of your choices gives you an idea already on how to answer the item. So ayan, we're seeing a lot of answers and quite a lot of you are saying that the correct answer here is 2. Okay, before we go technical sa may definition, tingnan po ninyo yung format. So 5 and then divisible by 10. So 5 is a factor of 10. It's smaller than 10. And then 10 here versus 5. So 10 is a multiple. Pag sinabi mong multiple, you can divide from that. Like, ano yung factors, 5 is a factor of 10. So yung factors ni 10 ay 5 and 2, kasi madidivide mo siya by 5 and 2. Another is 1 and 10, kasi madidivide mo siya ng 1 and 10. Ano naman yung multiples ni 10? Yung multiples ni 10 would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Yung ano yung makukuha mo. Ayan. So that's the difference between multiple and factor. Tingnan natin yung number 3. 3 compared to 6. 3 is smaller. It's a factor. 4 compared to 8. 4 is a factor. So ito pa lang, format pa lang, should give you an idea that the correct answer is 2 kasi siya lang yung different format. Right? So, technically naman ngayon, by definition, if your number is divisible by 10, like this one, then all the smaller factors ni 10, pwede ring ma-divide from that number. Yun lang naman po siya. If it's divisible by a larger number, all the smaller numbers na factors are also divisible then. Right. Now, let's take a look at item number 8. Yes po, Sir Omer. Minsan, it's not about really knowing the concepts. It's also trying to sometimes the choices could give you a clue already on what the answer should be. So, maghanap na rin tayo ng mga kaunting ways and techniques to help us become faster or more efficient rather in trying to answer items. So for item number 8, I'm already seeing some answers here. Okay, could we type in our answers for item number 8? Ayan, so I'm seeing answers like 2, meron ding 4, meron ding 3. Okay, can we have more answers po on item number 8? Oh, meron ding 1. Sige, very interesting. Medyo iba-iba yung answer natin. Right, so let's recall po yung ating system of solving when you have items like this po. Okay, so ano po yung system natin? So we have sorry, let me just remove the fill. Ayan. If you recall, when you try to solve for this, you have your percentage, your base, and then yung rate. Yung base is the original number. Yung rate is yung decimal, fraction, or percent version. Percentage is the portion. The P there is the portion that you get from your base, right? So let's try to identify po certain items that you have here, right? So, obviously, 20% is your rate. Your rate is always in decimal, percent, or fraction. And look at the phrasing of the item. 1.247 is 20% of blank. Of what number? So of is an indicator that it is followed by your base. So of blank. What's unknown here is your base. Okay? So this one is a portion of your base. It's a small portion of your base. 1.247 is 20% na portion ng bigger base natin. So how do we solve that now? Looking at our equation, we're looking for your base. So your base is equal to, base is equal to percentage over rate, your portion over your rate. That should give you 1.247 divided by 0.20. Now, what would that be? Sorry. So, our answer here is actually 6.235. Another technique rin naman po is 1.247. What I do usually is I just times 5. Kasi yung 20 times 5, 20% times 5 gives me 100%. So I would just multiply the portion by 5. I would still get 6.235. Ayan po siya. So, this means that, ayan. So, looking at this, sorry. Did I interpret? Sorry. So, let us, 247. I think I copied this wrongly siguro. Sige, so 247 times, ayan, pasensya na. Maybe that's why I didn't have an answer for this one. So 247 divided by 0.20, you have two ways there. You can do the division or you could do the multiplication na 0.247 times 5 works as well. And what would be our answer there? 0.247 divided by 20 should give you, dito na lang, 1.247 247 ba? Wala. 247 divided by 0.2, that should give you 1235. Ayan siya. 1235, which is appearing here. So, please recall po natin yung difference ng, usually yung common error natin dito is if we don't identify properly yung portion and then yung base, kung ano po yung hinahanap. So, may mga sumagot po kasi dito ng 1 and then 4. So, let's take a closer look at that lang. By the way, if you do this technique below, you should also get 1, 2, 3, 5. So, why did I multiply by 5? Kasi 20% times 5 gives you 100%. So, if my portion is 20%, what I would do is I would just multiply by 5, I will get the 100%. Or, for example, if 25% yung given, how would you get the 100%? What I do is I just multiply by 4 kasi 25% times 4 is 100%. Mas nadadalian kasi ako sa multiplication kaysa sa division. So that's what I do. If it works for you, you could use it because it's faster. If not, then find other ways na lang po. So the answer here is 2. And then item number 9. Ayan. So dito na tayo sa may square root. So what's your answer here in item number 9? Sorry. Let me just remove the sound natin. May notifications tayo. Can we have your answers, please, for item number 9? Ayan. So, a lot of you are answering 2 for item number 9. Is this 9 or baka you're answering sa number 8 pa tong 2 na to? Ayan. So, may nag-answer ng 2 sa number 9, may nag-answer ng 5, may nag-answer ng 1. Sige. Let's try to do this po. Now, first, we have to simplify your items, right? Individually before we try to do it all together. So, let us first identify, let me just copy everything here para it's easier to be seen. 3 square root of 8 plus 5 square root of 4 plus 3 square root of 2. Okay, I'll just do it here para mas makita natin siya. Ayan. So, 3 square root of 8. Yung square root of 8 po, this one, you would take a look at the item inside. So, that is 3 square root of 8 po kasi is 2 cubed. I'll just do it step by step for the benefit of those who are not comfortable or not familiar with these rules. Yung 4 po is 2 squared. Plus 3 squared of 2, you can't factor it any further. Next. Now, 3. Tapos square root po siya ng 2 cube. So, 2 cube, yung square root po kasi, meron po siya sa labas na 2. Square root siya so may 2 yan sa labas. So, yung 2 cube, yung 3 minus 2, so may lalabas na 2 dito, may matitirang isa sa loob. Kasi 3 siya, di ba? So, yun yung result niya. And then, ito naman, 5. 2 minus 2 here is 0. So, lalabas si 2, tapos walang matitira sa loob. And then, for this one, it's still the same. Ayan. What happens next? Simplify further. This is 6 square root of 2 plus 10 plus 3 square root of 2. Ayan po siya. And so, you combine anything that you could try to combine. Hindi ko mag-gets yung pinamit ni Jonah dito. Three minus 2, yun po, yeah, 3 minus 2 is 1 po siya. Kaya po may natira tayong 1 sa loob. Ayan. So what would be your answer here? So your result here would be, yung separate po na number, ito. So 10. And then for the other items, let's combine yung numbers lang. And that would be 9. Tapos yung square root of 2, copy lang po natin kasi we treat it like a variable x. Yung radicals po natin, they're treated like your variables. That's why hindi po natin sila ina-add. It's not going to be square root of 4 or something like that. So this would be your final answer. Yung walang variable, separate siya. Yung may mga variables, yung number lang po nila sa labas, yun lang po yung i-add natin. So your answer here would be 10 plus 9 square root of 2, which unfortunately is not here in your choices. So your answer here would be 5. Ito po yung nire-remind ko sa inyo that you have to read your instructions carefully. If may option siya na if the answer is not in the choices, answer 5. So mag-answer kayo ng 5. If wala yun sa option, you will have to choose the closest answer to what you have, which would be, I think, item 1. Right? But since part po ng instruction na pag wala yung answer dyan, use 5. So, 5 po yung isasagot natin. Okay? So, hindi rin naman always lumalabas yung radicals during civil service examination, pero may mga times po na lumalabas siya. So, I hope you could be familiar with this as well. Okay? So, ayan po siya. Now, let's have your 3. Okay, so pakiulit natin yung what is 3 square root of 2 cube. Sige, ano po siya dyan? You have 3 here. Yung effect po kasi ng square root of 2 cube, that is 2 raised to 3 over yung square root mo, 3 halves. Ayan po siya. Yan po yung effect when you have your square root. Yung exponent po niya is fraction. Yun po yung square root natin. So that's your answer there. So it's going to be 3 times, ano yung natitira sa loob? This is 2 raised to 1 times 2 raised to 1 half. Tama po ba? 2 raised to 1 times 2 raised to 1 half. So what you have here, yung 3 and 2, pwede mo silang ma-separate. 3 times 2 kasi whole numbers sila. yung 2 raised to 1/3 separate, 1/2, sorry. Separate mo siya kasi square root pa siya. May radical pa siyang symbol. So this becomes 6, and this is 2 raised to 1/2, also known as square root of 2. That would be your rules for radicals. Another rule for radical, for example, what if you have, say, cube root of 2 to the 5th? What if ganyan? Gusto nating i-simplify. So this is the same as 2 raised to 5 over 3. So this is the same as 5 minus 3 is 1, di ba? So 2 raised to 1, tapos may natira pa tayong 2/3. Ganyan. So this is going to become, may 2 sa labas kasi whole number yung exponent niya. Tapos, may radical tayo na 2 squared, cube root, yung denominator ng exponent ay nagiging square root or parang radical. And also equal to 2 cube root of 2 squared 4. So that's what it would become. Yun po yung mga rules natin on radicals. Okay. I hope na kahit paano medyo naliwanagan tayo dun sa may radicals. Hindi siya common na lumalabas, but if it does, I hope na alam din naman natin how to deal. This specific item, I think, was collected from one particular item na lumabas before. So isa po yata ito, I got this item from a sample ng mga previous items for civil service examination. So minsan lumalabas si radicals, but not all the time. Ayan. Number 10, what percent of 556 is 139? Ulitin ko lang yung table, yung triangle natin. Portion, base rate. Ayan. Right? So, portion base rate. So, what are we looking for? What percent of 556? Of 556. This is your base. Base follows the of always. And then, 139 will be your portion. So, you're looking for the rate. Percentage yung choices natin eh. So, rate hinanap natin. So, rate should be equal to percentage over base or portion over base. That is 139 over 556. And that should give you 0.25 or 25%. Okay? So the correct answer here should be 2. An alternative solution to this one is 20% siya if divided by 5 answer. 25% is divided by 4. 50% is divided by 2, so on and so forth. Ayan siya. So I think quite a lot of you already are answering the correct choice here, which is choice 2 in item number 10. Ayan. So before we proceed, let's have a summary muna of our answers. So for item number 1, this is 1, 2, 1, 4, 3, 3. That's 1 to 5. And then 2, 2, this should be 2, 5, 2. Recall natin yung answers natin from the first until the 10th item. In case may nakamiss out po sa inyo sa mga choices natin kanina. Okay, ito po yung summary ng items 1 to 10. Now, let's proceed po doon sa ating item number 11. Ayan, quite a lot of us are answering choice number 3. Ayan. So for this one po, I want you to work smarter rather than just being correct, technically correct, no? So let's take a look at our fractions here. As you can see, you have 3/4. And then another fraction here is 1/4. Put together, that is 1. Di po ba? So you already have 1 there. May 1 na tayo dito. That's 1. Another 1 here, 2. Plus 2, that's 4. Meron na tayong 4. And what? Ano na lang yung natira na hindi natin na-consider? Ito. So the final answer here is 4 and 1/2, which is item 3. So for items like this, work smarter, right? So not just getting it technically correct. The usual method would be to add them, add mo separately yung whole numbers, yung fraction, you have to find the LCD, so on and so forth. But sometimes if you could just work smarter, mas efficient tayo. Okay? So the correct answer for item number 11 is choice number 3. Right. Now let's take a look at item number 12. So for item number 12, we have this one. A homeowner can rent a chainsaw from a rental agency at 2,700 a day. The brand new of the same saw can be bought for 18,900, but brand new item. So for how many days could the homeowner rent the saw before renting would cost more than buying? So quite a lot of us are answering. Common answers natin are, let me take a look at the answers in the comments. Meron tayong 3, meron din tayong 2, okay? So let's take a look po. Item number 12. So yung question natin dito, let's take a look at our given. So you have here, given mo, 2,700 a day, tapos 18,900 yung, full item. So kailan ka daw, what if nag-rent ka versus bumili ka ng own mo? So syempre pag nag-rent ka, daily nag-a-accumulate, di ba? So daily may additional cost tayo. So kailan daw mag-break even or kailan mas mahal yung renting versus buying your own? Renting syempre, if short time lang naman, just rent, right? Or especially kung one-time use mo siya. So for this one, what would happen here? What we would do is we need to divide your, ang tawag dito, i-divide nyo po yung total cost ninyo doon sa may day natin dyan. Or what you could do is you could individually multiply po natin sila, right? So for how many days would the homeowner rent the saw before renting would cost more than buying? So medyo interesting lang po yung answer na makukuha natin dito. I'd like you to read the question carefully. For how many days could the homeowner rent the saw before renting would cost more than buying? Renting would cost more than buying. Okay. So what I did here is I would divide it, right? That's what I did initially. So that's 18,900. Divide mo siya sa 2,700, you would get an answer of 7. What does that mean? Ang ibig sabihin po nun, day 7, kasi perfect yung pag-divide mo eh. Ibig sabihin, on day 7, the cost of renting is 18,900. Hindi po ba? Kasi 7 times 2,700 na daily rate is 18,900, which is the same as the original price. Pero yung tinatanong po, for how many days could the homeowner rent the saw before renting? Renting would cost more than buying. What would be the correct answer here for item number 12? Kailan daw magiging mas mahal yung renting versus buying? 7, break-even siya eh. On day 7, equal yung cost ng buying versus renting. The same siya. So anything shorter than that is not a considered answer. Ibig sabihin, mas mura si renting dito. 7 is just your break-even point. Yun po yung sa business, di ba? Business math. Break-even point when the same yung values natin. So it's not costing more than buying kasi the same siya. The correct answer is 8. It's costing more than buying. Mas mahal na yung renting. Kasi yung renting mo sa day 8, it's going to be 21,600, which is more than 18,900. So careful po tayo. Read between the lines. Sometimes the answer that you get is not kung ano yung nakuha mo, hindi pa yun yung hinahanap sa'yo. So you have to be very careful and reading through your item. So number 12, the correct answer is 4. I'd like you to take a closer look at the item. If you want to take a screen cap and highlight yung more, would cost more. Ayan. So, may mga cases pala na akala mo siya na, tapos iba pala yung hinahanap. Hindi sapat ang binibigay. Kaya, kailangan maging mapanuri para mag-match yung kaya mong ibigay sa hinahanap sa'yo. Sige. So, number 12 is, correct answer should be 4. Let's take a look at item number 13. Please type po yung answer natin dito sa comment section. Dami po kasing mga hugot moments sa math. If you're a math teacher, you would really see a lot of opportunities na humugot sa math. Ayan. So item number 13, I'm seeing a lot of answers here already. Find the next number in the sequence. So most of you are answering 4. Right. So it would be 49. Ano kaya yung pattern natin dito? So your pattern here would be, I look for a bright color here. So this is 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared, 6 squared. So the answer here should be 7 squared, which is 49. So the correct answer for item number 13 is 4. Right. So marami po yung nakakuha ng answer natin dyan. Sometimes yung pattern is not just about addition, it's not just about subtraction. Sometimes it's also dealing with squares, powers, and exponents, and the like. Ayan. Yun. Yes po, Miss Elaine. Yan po yung method natin. That's correct. Sige. Now, let's try to see item number 14. Again po, most of you here have already tried answering this prior to the session, right? When you had the time to do the entire mock test. So, makaka-readily bigay po kayo ng answer during the session tonight. So, we might be a little bit faster than usual. But if you feel that medyo masyado pa rin mabilis, please do let me know. Or if you feel that some items still need further clarification, please just comment here in the comment section para naman po ma-address natin yung mga tanong ninyo. So we have item number 14. Okay, so I'm seeing different answers here. Number 14, may sumasagot po ng 3. May sumasagot ng 4, may sumasagot ng 5. Interesting. Right. So what would be the missing number here? So we start with 2 and then 7, 9, 3, 8, 11, 4, 9, 13, blank, 10, 15. So sometimes your pattern is not just consecutive. Sometimes it works in clusters also. Sometimes tig-dala-dalawang numbers, sometimes tig-tatlo-tatlo. So let me just write yung 2 here kasi nandun kasi siya sa taas eh. So your system here actually is working in clusters of 3, right? So this is one cluster. This is another cluster. This is another cluster. And then this is finally your last cluster. So how does our cluster work? So 2, 7, 9. Ano kaya yung pattern na makukuha natin dito? So how to get the next number? Plus 1 after every 2 numbers. So what you're doing here is plus 1 to get 3, plus 1 to get 8, and then plus 2 to get 11. And then plus 1 to get 4, plus 1 you get 9, plus 2 you get 13. Ayan siya. And then continue the method. Plus 1 you get 5, plus 1 you get 10, and then plus 2 you get 15. So your pattern holds, which means that the correct answer here is indeed 5, which is option 3. Ayan. So yung mga nag-answer siguro ng 5 dito is because the answer is number 5, not choice 5. Ayan. So we're doing well so far with patterns, which is good. Sige. Now let's try item number 15. What is 12x plus 7 if 2x minus 7 equals 21? So this is basic algebra po. Yung numerical reasoning po kasi is usually just a combination of the most basic mathematics that you encounter in college. This is why sometimes the longer it takes for you to take the exam, like for example, kumuha ka ng civil service, medyo many years na after graduation, mas nahihirapan po tayo. Kasi it has been so long na before nyo siya last na encounter. Kaya mas mahirap siya kasi matagal nyo nang hindi ginagawa yung mga algebra na yan. Like if every one of us perhaps would take civil service examination ng mga second year college or first year college tayo, you might have really good scores in your numerical reasoning. Kasi masyado siyang basic. Nga lang, kapag masyadong matagal before you take an exam, like many years, nakakalimutan na natin kasi di na natin masyadong ginagawa everyday. Ayan. So for number 15, I'm seeing answers like 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Sige, let's take a look. 12x plus 17 if... Okay, right. So ito yung given natin. So let's solve that. 2x minus 7 is equal to 21. So rules lang tayo, no? If you're moving something to the other side, if it crosses over your equal sign, dapat po magpapalit siya ng sign. So lahat ng x dito sa left, tapos lahat po ng walang variables, lipat natin sa right. So 21, tapos yung negative 7, linipat natin. So it becomes a positive 7. We would have 2x equals 28. We'd like to get rid of 2. So to get rid of something na nakadikit, we divide it. That's how you sort of change the sign. So you would get x is equal to 14. And now let's plug this in dito. 12x plus 17. This is 12 times 14 plus 17. This should give you 185, which is option 1. So for number 15, the correct answer here should be option 1, which a lot of you have got. Ayan. So that's good to take note of. Right. So let's take a look now at the next item. Number 16 po tayo. So for number 16, if positive integers m and n are both odd, which of the following cannot be true? It's not that easy again to remember all your rules about odd even, so you could simply substitute whatever odd numbers you could remember or even numbers you could remember. Try po ninyo check. I recall na meron tayong very similar item to this one in one of our previous discussions. So I hope na medyo fresh pa sa minds natin yung ginawa natin last time. So you have positive integers m and n that are odd, right? So it would be best if you would just imagine two odd numbers. Ano ba yung odd? Yung not divisible by 2, right? So what do you have na odd? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Those are odd numbers. So maybe we can choose, say, 3 and 5, right? So let's say yung m and n mo, for example, would be 3. Your n would be 5. Kasi dalawang odd numbers, right? So let's see. M plus n, 3 plus 5 is 8. And it's even. M minus n cannot be odd. M minus n is negative 2. This is even. So cannot be odd. Check. Mn is even. 3 times 5 is 15. Which is not even. Check na natin yung dulo. M plus n minus 1 is odd. 3 plus 5, 8 minus 1 is 7. Odd, which means that si 3 talaga yung tamang answer dito. So ayan. You don't have to recall the rules. If pwede ka lang naman makasubstitute ng number para it would help you understand the item better, do so. Mas mabilis po yung ganun. Kaysa trying to remember the rules vaguely in your head. So number 16, it's item 3. Let's take a look at item number 17. Evaluate b minus 2 squared plus a squared when a is 6 and b is 7. By the way po, yung minsan po yung pagkakagawa ng civil service examination is hindi siya nakasulat properly yung equations. That's why sometimes yung square root po, hindi siya fully written out doon sa item. Yun din po yung ginagawa ko actually in how I present usually my items here with you. Hindi ko rin po siya sinusulat properly in mathematics formula kasi ina-anticipate ko na yung ma-encounter ninyong equation doon sa civil service exam na item might be hindi perfectly written yung mathematics formula. So, sanayin ko na lang kayo sa what to expect rather than kung ano yung perfect na pagkasulat ng formula. Kasi sometimes hindi ganun yung nangyayari. So, ito, b minus 2 squared plus a squared. So, in the advanced test that was given to you, this is written as b minus 2 squared plus a squared. So now let's substitute na lang po to get the answer. So b minus 2 squared. B is 7 minus 2 squared plus a is 6 squared. So this is 5 squared plus 6 squared. That's 25 plus 36. So number 17 should give us 61, which is item 4. Ayan. So number 17 should be option 4, which a lot of you got. So sa mga nakakuha po ng other answer, I hope nakita po natin kung saan tayo possibly nagka-error para ma-avoid po natin siya sa susunod. Right? Sige. Now let's try item number 18. Again po, if you feel that we're a little bit too fast, please let me know para po ma-discuss natin ulit or I'll give you more time to solve. For I'm hoping na all of you naman, or if not most of you, nakasagot na nito in advance when you took your mock test. Mm-hmm. Ayan. So we have some very different answers here for item number 18. Some are saying it's 2, 3, and 5. So could we have more answers from you po? So that I can see kung ano po yung pinaka-common na answer na binibigay natin sa number 18. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay. Parang medyo fight-fight si 3 at saka si 2. Ayan, mas marami pa yung 2. Sumasagot ng 3 pala. Mas marami. Mahirap kasi for me to determine, no? Yung mga Facebook users, baka kung same person lang, wala kasing proper name. Ayan. So, may nagsasabing 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 person, 6 person saying it's 3. And then, mayroon din nagsasabi ng 5. Ayan. So, what do we do here? Let's try this. So, you have 5 days. You're getting the average for the past 5 days. So, let us do this. You have, sulat ko lang po individually. That's 37.2. You have 36.4. You have 36.2. And then, yung last mo is 30.7. Tapos, may unknown ka na day. And then, the average is 34.7 degrees. Yung technique po natin in getting your average, right? So, you always compare the individual points versus the average. Ito po yung easier actually to solve rather than usual na getting an average. What we do is compare the individual points or days or systems versus your average, right? So let's take a look at 37.2 here versus 34.7. So how will your daily temperature reach the average? So what you need to do is, kailangan mo magbawas, di ba? Para ma-reach mo siya. So you have to subtract, ano yung isa-subtract natin dito? Is it 2.5? Kasi sumobra siya ng 2.5, right? Let me write that again. minus 2.5 para ma-hit mo itong target natin. Now, let's take a look at day 2, 36.4. Paano siya magiging 34.7? You have to subtract 1.7 para ma-hit mo yung average, right? And then let's take a look at the next day, 36.2. You have to subtract 1.7 para ma-reach mo yung average. And then finally, yung last na given day, 30.7, para ma-reach mo yung 34.7, kailangan mo pang magdagdag ng 4 points para ma-reach mo siya. Right? So combine all of that. So all of this together, combine mo si minus 2.5 minus 1.7. Oh, sorry, this should be 1.5, not 1.7. Minus 1.5 plus 4. Ayun. So ano po yung nakukuha natin? Yes, Ma'am Lalaine, yan po yung solution natin. What would be your solution here? You would get what po? That is, you end up getting minus 1.7 ata. Tama. So you would end up getting minus 1.7. Yan po ang makukuha ninyo if you put all of these items in the left together. Anong gagawin mo dyan? Yung makukuha po ninyo dito, yun po yung ima-match ninyo dito kay, let me change the color lang para ma-highlight siya. You should do minus 1.7. Ima-match mo siya dito. A-apply mo siya dyan. That should be your last day para makuha mo yung desired average. So 3.47 minus 1.7 is 33, which is your desired average. Subukan po ninyo, kung may calculators kayo, 37.2 plus 36.4 plus 36.2 plus 30.7 plus 33, divide it by 5 and you would get 34.7. Ayan, sige po. So most of us are answering, sige, so maraming sumagot ng 2, marami ring sumagot ng 3. So I hope you would reconsider your item para po hindi tayo maka-answer ng mali. Right po? Sige. So, a few more seconds para sa mga medyo iba yung answer. You could take a screen cap po para mas mabilis siyang ma-identify. And let's take a look at item number 19. So, mayroon tayong a couple of answers for 19. Sige. Could we have more? I think I'm receiving dalawa pa lang naman. I'm sorry, I don't know. Wala po kasi akong access. I cannot remove yung spam. Sige. So, we have a couple of answers. 2 and 1. Yung common na lumalabas. Could we have more po? Patagdag po ng answers natin. Parang iilan pa lang po yung nakikita ko. Sige, requesting na for the removal of our spam comments para. Right? So, common na answers natin is 1 and 2. Sige, I think we have enough already. Do we? Need more time ba to solve? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nakakalima pa lang tayo. Sige, so common na lumalabas, C, 19, 2 and 1. Ayan. So let's take a look at this. Of course, PEMDAS, you would take a look first at the ones na nasa loob ng parenthesis. Then you have this one. So first, we start with this. Dito po tayo. So they have the same denominator. You just have to do something about your numerator. So 27 minus 14, that should give you your 13, right? Over 8. So that's that one. And then, continue ko lang po dito times 8, 9 minus 2/3. Okay, so PEMDAS tayo right after that. Going to the right, multiplication. So, as you can see here, you could simply cancel kasi yung denominator na 8 dito is the numerator in the next item. So, you could cancel 8 there. And you would be left here with 13/9, right? And then, minus 2/3. So, what you could do is, sulat ko na lang ito sa baba. So, you now have 13/9 minus 2/3. I-adjust nyo na lang si minus 2/3 ninyo. So your minus 2/3, bigyan natin siya ng denominator na 9. That would give us 9 divided by 3 is 3 times 2, 6. So in essence, you have 13/9 minus 6/9. That is 7/9, which is your item 1. Ayan. So quite a lot of you have answered item 1. Sige. So many of us got correct answers. Congratulations po. That's great. Right? Let us now proceed doon po sa my item number 2. So to avoid po na maka-spam tayo, please try not to click po yung mga nakikita natin ganyan. Kasi once you click po, you also parang in a way parang nahahack po tayo and you also get to comment spams. So always be careful with the links that you click. Only click if necessary. Sometimes nakaka-receive po tayo ng mga DM sa friend natin na may mga links. If wala pong message yung friend ninyo about the link, as much as possible, try not to click para ma-avoid po natin yung spams. Right? Okay, so we are having a couple of answers here. Sige. Many are saying that it's this answer. Could we have more answers po? Kasi I only have like a couple. 2. Parang 4 pa lang po yung nakakasagot. Item number 20. Huwag po kayo mahiyang mag-comment kasi hindi po naman kayo nakukuha na you won't hindi po kayo nalalagyan ng virus yung account niyo or nagiging spammer if nag-comment kayo along with the spam. Hindi naman po. Only when you click the link, yun lang naman. So, don't hesitate to comment po. Ayan. So, we have this. So, you're planning to rent a transient room for 5 days for a seminar in the city. We had a similar item a while ago, right? So, ano po yung pag-solve nito? So, i-compare nyo lang yung daily versus yung weekly rate natin. So, yung weekly rate natin is 4,800. Tapos, yung daily rate natin is 725, but it would take you 5 days times 5 days. So, ayun po. So, your 5 days there would give you 3,625. So, with this, you know na cheaper yung daily rate ninyo compared sa weekly rate. So, you simply have to subtract and you would get na ilan yung masasave ninyo if you do that. So, if you do this, you would see that you get to save 1,175, which is your daily rate. Okay? So, saan kayo mas makakasave? Yung kasi yung question which would be cheaper and by how much? So, it would be daily 1,175. I'm not sure how you got a different rate. Ayan. So, the most common answers here are indeed 2. Okay, and ayan, 1. Sige. Right? Now, let's have a summary of our answers from 11 to 20. So, from 11 to 20, your 11 should be 3, and then your 12 should be 4, 4, 3, 1, and then 3, 4, 2, 1, 1. Okay, yes. Sige. So this is our summary for the last 10 items that we had. If you weren't able to catch the correct answers, right? Sige. So, kaunting tayo. Proceed na tayo sa next 10 items. Right. So we have your we're proceeding now into the more difficult items in a way na medyo Wala na tayong one-liners na nakikita, more on ano na tayo, more on word problems.